I wasn't supposed to hear it. The anesthesia was pulling me under, that heavy feeling where your body goes numb but your mind still floats up the surface. That's when I heard Daniel, my assistant of 12 years, the man I trusted with everything, lean toward the doctor and whisper, he didn't want full treatment, just keep him comfortable. My heart monitor must have spiked because the nurse glanced at the screen, but she probably thought it was just the procedure starting. It wasn't. It was the sound of betrayal cutting deeper than any stroke ever could. Daniel thought I was already gone, thought I wouldn't hear, thought I wouldn't remember. He was planning my death while I was still breathing. After 12 years of me signing his paychecks, recommending his promotions, treating him like the son I never had, this is what I got. The drugs finally won, pulling me into darkness. But even as everything went black, one thought burned bright in my fading consciousness. He didn't think I'd survive. And that was his biggest mistake. Because I was about to make one hell of a recovery. And when I did, Daniel would learn what happens when you try to bury someone who's not ready to die. I came out of the procedure like swimming up from the bottom of a pool. Everything was heavy. My arms wouldn't move right. My voice came out as barely a whisper when I tried to speak. But my mind was crystal clear. The first thing I noticed was how the nurses looked at me. That soft, sad look people give when they think you're circling the drain. One of them patted my hand gently, like she was comforting someone on their deathbed. Just rest now, Mr. Sanderson. Everything's been arranged. Arranged? What the hell did that mean? A young doctor came in, checked my chart, and shook his head slightly. We'll keep you comfortable, he said, the same words Daniel had used. That's when it clicked. They'd been told I was dying, told I didn't want treatment, told to basically let nature take its course. By him, by Daniel. My whole body might have been weak, but rage is a hell of a medicine. I couldn't fight yet, couldn't even sit up without help, but I could think. I could plan. And most importantly, I could listen to everything happening around me. So I decided to play dead. Let them all think old Jack Sanderson was on his way out. Let Daniel think his plan was working. Until I was ready to bury him instead. Daniel came in the next morning carrying flowers. Roses. Martha's favorite, not mine. After 12 years, he didn't even know I preferred simple daisies. His face wore that practiced look of concern, the one he used in board meetings when pretending to care about budget cuts. You rest easy, Jack, he said, setting the flowers on the nightstand. His voice had this weird tone like he was already reading my eulogy. I've told the team to prepare everything on your behalf. Don't worry about a thing. Prepare everything? I wanted to grab him by his $500 tie and ask what exactly he was preparing. But I just managed a weak nod, playing the dying old man he wanted to see. The company knows about your situation, he continued, straightening his cufflinks. I'm handling all the paperwork, making sure your wishes are followed. My wishes. The ones I never told him. The ones he was making up as he went along. He stayed for exactly 15 minutes. I know because I watched the clock the whole time. When he finally left, I reached under my blanket, fumbling with numb fingers until I found my phone. What's that recording app Martha installed last year? The one she used for her garden club meetings? Found it. He had no idea I'd just hit record. Every visit from now on would be evidence. 40 years. That's how long I had given to Brennan Construction. Started as a foreman with dirt under my nails and worked my way up to part owner. When I finally retired 5 years ago, they gave me the golden package,
Full health care for life, pension, the works. I had helped write that benefits policy myself back in the day. What I didn't write was the amendment they added 3 years later. Someone in corporate thought they were being clever with their cost cutting. If a retired executive died, any remaining funds and administrative costs would be wrapped up quickly by giving the listed primary support staff a $50,000 death benefit. Quick closure, they called it. Clean books. I'd kept Daniel listed as my primary support even after retirement. He still helped with my paperwork, medical forms, anything that needed corporate liaison. Why wouldn't I? The man had been by my side for over a decade. $50,000. That's what my death was worth to him. I thought about all the times he'd asked about my health lately. How's the blood pressure, Jack? Taking your medications, right? You should really slow down at your age. I thought he cared. What a fool I had been. He wasn't worried about my health. He was already planning his payday. And from the timeline I was piecing together, he'd been planning it for months.
The nurses checked on me less and less. My medication rounds got lighter. The physical therapist who was supposed to evaluate me never showed up. When I finally caught a moment alone with one of the younger nurses, I asked as gently as my weak voice allowed, Why didn't I get the rehab consult?" She hesitated, glancing at the door like she was doing something wrong. "Your medical proxy signed off declining it, said your wishes were not to prolong treatment unnecessarily." Medical proxy? Daniel had somehow gotten himself listed as my medical proxy? That's a lie," I whispered. She blinked, leaning closer. "Sir? I never said that. Never signed anything." Her eyes went wide. She looked at my chart, then back at me, then at the door again. I could see her putting pieces together, realizing something was very wrong. She nodded slowly, deliberately. I'll make a note of that, Mr. Sanderson." After she left, I lay there staring at the ceiling tiles, counting them, planning. This wasn't just about money anymore. Daniel was actively trying to kill me, using the system I'd helped build to do it. That's when I stopped being a patient. I became something else entirely. I started plotting. And the first rule of war? Know your enemy's every move before he makes it.
My daughter Claire came by with my mail. Sweet girl, but she lived in Portland now, could only visit weekends. She had no idea what was happening. Daniel had been keeping her updated with carefully crafted lies about my condition. "Dad, this came certified," she said, pulling out an envelope. "Should I open it?" I nodded weakly. She tore it open and started reading. Then her face went white. "Dad, this is a do not resuscitate order." My blood turned to ice. When was it dated?" 2 weeks before your stroke." She looked up at me confused. "But you were playing golf 2 weeks before your stroke. I have the pictures." The DNR was filed from my home address, signed allegedly by me. Only 3 people had keys to that house: Claire, my housekeeper Rosa, and Daniel. Claire was in Portland. Rosa only came Tuesdays and Thursdays. "Baby, get me my phone." She handed it to me, and I fumbled to pull up my banking app. There it was, a notary fee charged to my credit card 2 weeks before my stroke, paid at an office 5 minutes from Daniel's apartment. The bastard had forged a DNR order. He'd been planning this before I even got sick. Maybe he was even hoping the stress would trigger something. And one of them just signed his own downfall, because forgery was a felony, and I was about to make sure everyone knew it.
I waited until Claire left to make the call. My fingers shook as I dialed the direct line to HR, one I'd memorized after 40 years with the company.
It rang 3 times before a familiar voice answered. "Brennan Construction Human Resources, this is Patricia." "Patricia," I wheezed, trying to make my voice stronger. "It's Jack Sanderson." Dead silence. Then, "Mr. Sanderson? But Daniel told us you'd passed." I almost laughed. Almost. "Not yet, Patricia. Still kicking. Barely, but kicking." "Oh my God. He submitted preliminary paperwork yesterday for your death benefits. Said you were on life support, that it was only a matter of days." "Yesterday? While I was conscious and talking to nurses, he was already filing for his blood money." "Patricia, listen carefully," I said. "Do not process anything. Do not cut any checks. Put a hold on everything immediately." "Of course, Mr. Sanderson. Should I notify legal?" "Not yet," I said. "Just freeze everything. And Patricia, don't tell Daniel we spoke." "Understood, sir." I hung up and sank back into my pillows. Daniel thought he was dealing with a dying old man. But corpses don't make phone calls. Don't cut that check just yet either, because this ghost was coming back to haunt him. My godson Jonah worked in IT security. Smart kid, could hack into anything, but chose to protect systems instead. I called him that evening when the ward was quiet. "Uncle Jack, Claire said you were really sick." "I am, kid, but I need a favor. Can you check something for me?" 20 minutes later, he called back. His voice was tight with anger. "Uncle Jack, Daniel's been in the company system. He still has admin access from when he was your assistant. 3 days after your stroke, he logged into the benefits portal." "What did he do?" "He drafted a death benefits claim. It's sitting in the queue, waiting for a death certificate to activate it. $50,000 payable to him as your registered support staff." 3 days. I was barely conscious for 3 days, and he was already counting his money. "Jonah, can you download everything? Every login, every keystroke?" "Already did." "Uncle Jack, this is illegal, right? He can't just—" "No, son, he can't. But he thought I wouldn't be around to stop him." I hung up and looked at the ceiling. Daniel had made one crucial error. He forgot that I surrounded myself with smart people. Good people, loyal people. And I was about to show him what I didn't forget, like the fact that unauthorized access to company systems was a federal crime. Dr. Levin looked uncomfortable when I requested to see him. He kept adjusting his glasses, wouldn't quite meet my eyes. Good. He should be uncomfortable. "Mr. Sanderson, how can I help you?" "Doctor, I need to ask you something straight. Who told me I wanted palliative care only?" He shifted in his chair. "Your medical representative, Mr. Daniel Morrison, indicated that you had expressed wishes for comfort care only in the event of a serious medical episode." "Did I tell you that myself?" "No." "Did I see you sign anything?" "No, but Mr. Morrison provided documentation." "Forged documentation," I interrupted. "Doctor, I never signed a DNR. Never asked for palliative care. I want full treatment. I want to recover." His face went pale. I could see him doing the math, realizing the legal nightmare he had stumbled into. A doctor following false directives, denying treatment to a patient that wanted it.
Mr. Sanderson, I had no idea. The paperwork looked legitimate. I'm not blaming you, doctor, but I need you to do two things. First, I want aggressive treatment starting now. Physical therapy, medication, everything. Of course. And the second? Get ready to testify, Doc, because the man who did this is going to court. Dr. Levin nodded slowly. I'll document everything, Mr. Sanderson. Everything. Recovery came faster once I got real treatment. Within days, I could sit up without help. My voice got stronger, my hands steadier. But I didn't let Daniel see any of it. When he visited, I played the weak, dying man he expected. Meanwhile, I was building my case like I used to build skyscrapers, one piece at a time, each one supporting the next.
I recorded voice memos of everything I remembered, had the nurse, Sherry, submit her written statement about the refused treatment, asked Jonah to pull every email Daniel had sent about me for the last 90 days. One email thread made my blood boil. The subject line, Jack's final phase. In it, Daniel discussed with someone in accounting how quickly death benefits could be processed. Want to ensure smooth transition when the time comes, he'd written. Mr. Sanderson wouldn't want any delays or complications. How thoughtful of him, planning my smooth transition to the grave. But the best part? The email thread started 6 weeks before my stroke. He'd been planning this for at least that long, maybe hoping I'd have a heart attack from the stress of retirement. When that didn't work, he just had to wait for any medical emergency. Too bad he didn't realize I was just entering phase 1, and phase 2 was going to be his nightmare. Daniel sent an office-wide email that Thursday. Claire showed it to me on her phone, her face twisted with disgust. With deep sadness, we prepare for Mr. Jack Sanderson's peaceful passing. After 40 years of dedicated service to Brennan Construction, Jack is spending his final days surrounded by comfort and care. As his assistant for 12 wonderful years, I want to thank everyone who has reached out with support during this difficult time. He'd even attached an old photo of us from the company picnic 5 years ago, both of us smiling, raising beers to the camera, back when I thought he was loyal. Dad, people are responding with condolences. The whole company thinks you're dying. Let them, I said, stronger now. Let him dig that hole deeper. The responses poured in. Jack was a legend. The company won't be the same without him. Thank you, Daniel, for taking care of him. Taking care of me. Ha ha ha! If only they knew what kind of care Daniel had in mind. He was already carving my tombstone, measuring me for a coffin, probably had my obituary drafted, all with my retirement package tucked in his back pocket. Dad, what are you going to do? I smiled for the first time since my stroke. I'm going to return the favor, sweetheart. Daniel didn't know 2 very important facts that were about to destroy him. First, I was recovering fast. The real treatment had worked miracles. I could walk now with just a cane. My speech was clear, my mind sharp as ever. The doctors called it remarkable, but I called it rage-fueled determination. Every step I took, every word I spoke clearly, was one step closer to destroying the man who tried to kill me. Second, and more importantly, I never officially gave him medical proxy. That form he'd been waving around, I had Jonah check the official hospital records, no proxy on file. Daniel had forged that too, probably thinking I'd be too dead to dispute it. Every medical decision he made in my name was illegal. Every form he signed was fraud. Every word he spoke to my doctors was practicing medicine without consent. The beautiful part?
He kept doing it, kept calling the hospital to check on his patient, kept signing forms, kept updating the company on my condition. Each time, he added another felony to his collection. I started keeping a list. Forgery, fraud, attempted murder, though that would be harder to prove, elder abuse, unauthorized access to company systems, false representation. And soon, every step I took would lead to his destruction. I just needed the perfect moment to streak. Night Nurse Sherry was a straight shooter. No nonsense, no sugarcoating. That's what I liked her. She came in during her break, closed the door, and said flat out what everyone else was dancing around. "Mr. Sanderson, what's happening to you is elder abuse, sir, and I'll testify if you want. I've seen that assistant of yours, snake in a suit." "Sherry, I need a favor first." "Name it." "Tell Daniel you think I might not make it through the week. Tell him you're concerned about my numbers, that I'm declining. And watch what he does next." She grinned. "You want me to bait the snake?" "Exactly." The next afternoon, she pulled it off perfectly. I watched from my bed, pretending to sleep, as she pulled Daniel aside in the hallway. Could hear every word through the open door. "Mr. Morrison, I'm concerned about Mr. Sanderson. His numbers aren't good. If you have any final paperwork or arrangements, you might want to expedite them." Daniel's response was immediate. "How long?" "Could be days, maybe less. I'll handle everything right away." He practically ran out of the hospital. Sherry came back in and winked at me. He took the bait, and now I had him by the neck because I knew exactly where he was running to. Daniel took the bait and then some. Within 2 hours of Sherry's performance, he was back at the hospital with forms, hospice transfer papers, comfort care only orders, even a funeral home pre-arrangement contract. The stupid bastard brought them right to my room, thinking I was too out of it to understand. He sat there filling them out while I slept, muttering to himself about timelines and processing delays. But here's what he didn't know. Jonah had set up a tiny camera in the flower arrangement. Every form he filled out, every forged signature, all of it was being recorded and backed up to the cloud. Just need to get these filed before the weekend. Can't have any delays with the holiday coming up. The holiday? Christmas was 2 weeks away. He was hoping to have me dead and buried by Christmas, his $50,000 bonus under the tree like a present. After he left, Dr. Levin came in with a medical student. Perfect timing. "Mr. Sanderson, this is Timothy. He's documenting unusual cases for his thesis." I looked at young Timothy. "How'd you like to document a case of attempted murder by paperwork?" His eyes went wide as I handed him copies of everything. He tried to kill the story, but I was writing the ending, and it was going to be a bestseller. I called Patricia in HR myself this time. My voice was strong, clear, undeniably alive. "Patricia, I need a favor, a big one."
Anything, Mr. Sanderson. I want you to invite Daniel to finalize my transition paperwork. Monday morning, 10 o'clock. Tell him it's urgent, that accounting needs everything signed before year-end for tax purposes. "But sir, you're not..." "Dead? No. But Daniel thinks I will be by then. He's already got hospice papers filed. Make the meeting sound routine. Make him feel safe." "Mr. Sanderson, should I have security on standby?" "No, but have legal on speed dial." She paused. "Sir, what exactly are you planning?" "Justice, Patricia. I built this company with my bare hands. I'm not letting some parasite feast on my corpse while I'm still breathing." "Understood. Monday, 10 a.m., conference room 3. "Perfect. And Patricia, make sure that conference room has good acoustics. I want everyone in the building to hear what happens next." I hung up
and looked at my reflection in the phone screen. The color was back in my face, the fire back in my eyes. Monday morning. The meeting was set. He was about to walk into a funeral, all right. His own.
Monday morning came cold and bright. I stood outside Brennan Construction, my cane steady in my hand, watching my breath fog in the December air. The building I'd helped build, where I'd spent 40 years of my life, looked exactly the same. But today it would be Daniel's last day ever setting foot inside. The security guard at the front desk nearly dropped his coffee when he saw me. "Mr. Sanderson? Jack, is that really you?" "In the flesh, Tom. Very much in the flesh. But we heard... Daniel said..." "Yeah, I know what Daniel said. Let's go surprise someone, shall we?" Tom's face split into a grin. "With pleasure, sir. You need any help? Just keep this quiet for about 10 more minutes." I made my way to the elevator, my cane clicking against the marble floor. Each sound echoed like a countdown. Click, click, click. The sound of Daniel's career ending one step at a time. The third floor was quiet. Most people were in their Monday morning meetings. Perfect. I wanted an audience, but not too soon. I stopped outside conference room 3, looking through the frosted glass. The dead man walking wasn't me. It was the fool sitting inside, about to sign papers for a dead man's money. Through the frosted glass, I could see Daniel laughing with Patricia. He had his expensive pen out, the Mont Blanc I'd given him for his 10th work anniversary. He was halfway through signing my transition paperwork, probably calculating how to spend his $50,000. Patricia saw me first. Her eyes went wide, but she kept her composure, professional to the end. I turned the handle and opened the door. The look on Daniel's face was worth every second of pain I had endured. The color drained from his skin like someone had pulled a plug. His hand froze mid-signature. The pen fell from his fingers, ink bleeding across the signature line like a wound. "Hello, Daniel." He couldn't speak. His mouth opened and closed like a fish on a dock. Patricia stood up, gathering the papers he'd been signing. "Mr. Sanderson, so good to see you up and about." "Thank you, Patricia. I see Daniel's been busy in my absence." Daniel finally found his voice, though it came out as a croak. "Jack, how are you?" "Alive? Yes. Disappointing, isn't it? All that planning, all those forms you filed, all for nothing." I stepped fully into the room, my cane tapping against the floor with deliberate slowness. The ghost had come to collect, and payment was due in full. I reached into my jacket and pulled out a thick binder, setting it on the conference table with a thud that made Daniel flinch. "Let's review, shall we?" I opened to the first tab. "Audio recordings of you telling my doctor I didn't want treatment. That's practicing medicine without a license." Flip. "Emails planning my death benefits claim 6 weeks before my stroke. That's conspiracy to commit fraud." Flip. "The forged DNR order, felony forgery." Flip. "Nurse testimony that you denied me treatment, elder abuse." Flip. "Screenshots of you accessing company systems to file for benefits while I was still alive, wire fraud, and unauthorized access." Daniel's face had gone from white to green. "Jack, I can explain." "Want more?" I flipped to the last tab. "How about the security footage of you using my credit card to pay the notary for the fake DNR? That's identity theft." Patricia had been quietly texting someone. I knew who. "Every damn page," I said, sliding the binder across to Daniel. The room went silent, except for Daniel's ragged breathing. And I hadn't even opened the last tab yet, the one with his signed confession on the hospice papers, stating he was my medical proxy. the lie that would bury him. The door opened and 3 people from legal walked in. They didn't greet Daniel, didn't even look at him. They came straight to me, pulled out chairs, and sat down like a wall between us. Mr. Sanderson, the league counsel Richard Vance said, "We've reviewed the preliminary evidence Patricia sent over. And? It's extensive. Criminal charges are warranted. The company will cooperate fully." Daniel tried to stand up. "Wait, you can't just—" "Sit down, Mr. Morrison." Richard's voice was ice. "You are no longer an employee of Brennan Construction. Your access has been revoked. Your final check will be mailed after we've audited all your activities." "This is insane! I was trying to help! Jack was sick, confused." "I have a question, Daniel. If I was so confused, why were you so eager to collect $50,000 of death benefits? Why were the forms already filled out?" "That's not— I wasn't—" Richard pulled out his phone. "I'm calling the district attorney's office now. Mr. Morrison, you'll want to remain here until the authorities arrive." Daniel's sophisticated mask finally cracked completely. "You can't do this to me." "No," I said quietly, "but you tried to do it to me." Now it was Daniel's turn to play patient, under cross-examination that would dissect every lie he told.
The termination was swift and brutal. Richard read from a prepared statement while Daniel sat there shaking. "Effective immediately, your employment is terminated for cause. Your company accounts are frozen pending investigation. Your credentials have been revoked. Security will escort you to clear your desk under supervision." "I need a lawyer," Daniel whispered. "You'll want to save that voice for your lawyer," I said. "You're going to need it for all the explaining you'll be doing." Patricia pulled out another form. "We'll also need your company phone, laptop, and access badges." Daniel mechanically pulled items from his pockets, his hands trembling. The phone I'd bought him, the laptop with all his schemes, the executive access badge he'd used to walk these halls like he owned them. "Your retirement account is also under review," Richard added. "Any funds obtained through fraudulent means will be recovered." "That's 12 years of retirement," Daniel protested. "Should have thought about that before you tried to murder me for $50,000, I said. 2 security guards appeared at the door. Tom was one of them, and he looked like Christmas had come early. "Mr. Morrison, we'll escort you to your office now." Daniel stood on unsteady legs. The golden boy had just become another criminal. And I hadn't even pressed charges yet. This was just the appetizer. The criminal charges came down like dominoes. I filed formal complaints with the police, the state attorney, the insurance commission, and adult protective services. Each agency wanted their pound of flesh from Daniel Morrison. The detective assigned to my case, Angela Cruz, was thorough. "Mr. Sanderson, this is one of the most documented cases of attempted murder by medical fraud I've seen." I said, "He was careful, just not careful enough. The DNR forgery alone is 5 to 10 years. Add conspiracy, elder abuse, wire fraud, he's looking at 20 to 30 years if convicted on all counts." Daniel was arrested at his apartment 2 days later. The news made the business section of the paper. Former executive assistant charged with attempting to murder boss for insurance money. But the best part was the financial crimes unit getting involved. Turns out, this wasn't Daniel's first rodeo. They found evidence he'd skimmed from expense accounts for years. Small amounts I'd never noticed. Nothing huge, but enough to add embezzlement to his charges. He was formally blacklisted from handling finances in any capacity. The state revoked his notary license. The National Association of Executive Assistants expelled him. His LinkedIn profile disappeared overnight. From executive assistant to unemployable felon. The transformation was complete, and I hadn't even gotten to the civil suit yet. The office reaction was something to behold. People who'd worked with Daniel for years came forward with their own stories. The administrative assistant he'd thrown under the bus for his mistakes.
The janitor he treated like furniture. The intern he mocked for her accent. "Mr. Sanderson, I'm so sorry," said Carol from accounting. "We should have seen it." I said, "He fooled me for 12 years. Don't blame yourself." The intern, Maria, came to my office with tears in her eyes. He told me I'd never amount to anything because I went to community college, said I should be grateful to even be in the building. "Maria, you know what? There's an executive assistant position that just opened up. Interested?" "Really?" "Really. And Maria, your community college degree is worth more than his MBA ever was." The company implemented new policies because of what happened. Mandatory background checks for anyone handling executive accounts, dual authorization for medical decisions, whistleblower protections for healthcare workers. They called it the Sanderson Protocol. Daniel had become exactly what he'd tried to make me, a cautionary tale, a warning poster about what happens when you bite the hand that feeds you. Turns out, karma keeps great records, and she'd been keeping score for 12 years. 3 weeks after his arrest, Daniel was released on bail. His lawyer had negotiated it down, but he still had to put up his condo as collateral, the same condo he'd bought with the bonuses I'd signed off on over the years. I knew he'd have to come back to clean out his office eventually. The court allowed it, supervised, 1 hour only. I made sure to be there. I stood outside the building, leaning on my cane but not really needing it anymore. Just wanted him to see it. A reminder of what he tried to do. He walked past me with a cardboard box in his arms. 12 years of his life, reduced to what could fit in a banker's box. He didn't look up, couldn't meet my eyes, but I saw his face. Hollow. Defeated. Aged 10 years in 3 weeks. "Daniel." He stopped, but didn't turn around.
Was it worth it? His shoulders sagged, still no answer. I tapped my cane once on the concrete. Click. The sound echoed between the buildings, sharp and final. That sound still echoes in his head every night when he tries to sleep, every morning when he wakes up in his empty condo, waiting for trial, the click of consequences coming home. 3 days later, I sent him one final letter. Had my lawyer deliver it to make sure he received it. Short and to the point, just 2 sentences that would haunt him forever. "Daniel, you had power because I trusted you. You lost it the moment you tried to use it against me. Jack Sanderson. P.S. Martha says hello from heaven." My lawyer told me later that Daniel had framed it. Not in pride, but in shame. Hung it on his empty office wall in his condo, where his executive achievement awards used to be. A reminder of the man he could have been versus the criminal he became. The P.S. was the twist of the knife. Martha was my wife who died 15 years ago. Daniel had given a beautiful speech at her funeral about loyalty and family. He'd called me his second father that day. Said he'd always take care of me like Martha would have wanted. Funny how $50,000 could change a man's definition of taking care of someone. But the letter served its purpose. It was my final statement. No anger, no threats, just truth. He'd had everything. Trust, power, a future. And he'd thrown it all away from money he'd never see. I hear he reads it every morning, his neighbor told me. Part of his routine now, like brushing his teeth or making coffee. Some people framed their diplomas. Daniel framed his destruction.
In shame. I didn't just survive. I went back to work. The board invited me back as a consultant, 3 days a week, training the next generation, teaching them about more than just construction. I became the company's ethics advisor, the keeper of standards, living proof that the company protected its people. My first presentation was to the new executive assistants, 50 bright faces looking up at me as I stood at the podium, no cane needed anymore. Trust, I began, clicking to my first slide, is the foundation of every professional relationship. But like any foundation, it can crack if not properly maintained. The slide showed a picture of Daniel and me from 5 years ago, both smiling, both seemingly happy. This man worked for me for 12 years. I trusted him with everything, my finances, my medical decisions, my life. I clicked to the next slide, Daniel's mugshot. Trust is a tool, but even tools can be stolen. I spent an hour telling them the story, every detail, every betrayal, every consequence. Some gasped, some took notes, all of them learned. The lesson isn't to never trust, it's to trust with verification, to maintain boundaries, to remember that desperation can turn anyone into someone you don't recognize. Afterward, Maria, my new assistant, helped me pack up my materials. Mr. Sanderson, do you ever regret what happened to him? I thought about it. I regret trusting the wrong person. But destroying him? No. Daniel tried to bury me, but I came back as the hammer, and I've been building something better ever since.
If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like this video, comment, and smash the subscribe button. Also, check out other videos on the channel. Joe's got more interesting stories for you.